Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Hollywood Memories. I'm Dan Roberts, the publisher of The Vegas Voice, and I have the fantastic pleasure of sharing this interview with my favorite columnist, the other woman in my life, and that is Miss Beverly Washburn. Beverly, as always, thank you for putting up with me.
No, thank you, Dan. Hi, everybody.
You know, we want to start with, I guess, a question we've had, which is, before we get into the segment, is that over the last couple of weeks, you've been getting a ton of fan mail.
I know.
Talk a little bit about that.
I don't know. I'm just so grateful, but it's coming in droves, and I don't know where or how it's coming about.
And you're getting it not only from across the United States, but you're getting it from Europe, from Germany and Sweden and countries like that. That's incredible.
I know. I'm always so flattered and touched that people would reach out, but I'm just not sure how. Is it because you're watching these YouTube things or reading the Vegas Voice?
If you're going to continue to send fan mail to Beverly, and of course we hope you do, by all means, let us know how you are seeing this video or the columns. Are you seeing it on Roku through the Golden Network TV or on our YouTube channel? So whatever it is, Beverly is very happy to get back to you. And what you do, and I don't think you ever told people, is that for everyone who writes to you, you send them $20. So we'll get it. I don't know about that, but anyway, we have a very special segment today, and it's a movie that Beverly did way back in May 1969 called Pit Stop. And again, as you can see from the poster, it mentions it's raw guts for glory, flesh against steel, and it starred Miss Beverly Washburn. Let me ask you, what made you decide to do that movie?
Well, it was written and directed by Jack Hill, and I had already done Spider Baby, and I knew that Sid Haig was going to be in it. And for those of you who had seen Spider Baby, he's the one who played my brother Ralph, and he was going to be in this movie. And so it was an opportunity to work with Sid Haig and, of course, with Jack Hill. Plus, he cast my brother in it as well.
And yeah, and we're going to go into that. And the idea that you worked with Sid Haig, again, we have a photo to put up. There was a height difference, wasn't there?
There's a height difference all the time with me because I'm only like 5'0".
Yeah. And let's start with, before we go into the great stuff about Pit Stop, how did they come up with that name?
I don't know. My brother said it would have made a good name for a deodorant.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it was about figure-8 car races. And, you know, they have the pit stop where people stop to, I guess, oil their car or whatever they
do, yeah.
And the colored movies were all, you know, coming into at that point.
Right.
And they had stock footage of these crazy races, but it was in black and white. So they opted to do the film in black and white so they could insert the...
But it was kind of strange because according to all the critics, there was no pit stop in the movie.
Well, there's supposed to be, I guess, because that's what they have in car races.
Right, but not of that one. But another thing that's strange is we have a picture of you with Sid, and you have that T-shirt that says, "Why not?" Explain to us what was the significance of that?
I wish I could explain it, but I have no
You have no idea.
No. Well, I just play kind of a quirky little tomboy girl that hangs out with all the rough guys and stuff. So I guess you make your own.
Make your own.
So what?
But you have no idea why it said "why not."
No, not really.
And again, before we go into the details about the movie, the great thing about it is that the reviews you received were fantastic. I'm going to read one right now, and it said Beverly Washburn, 3 years after Spider Baby, which is another interesting movie, plays an interesting blend of tomboy and early hippie, and she is very natural and alive in her roles.
Uh-huh. Well, that was nice.
It was.
Whoever wrote that.
Right. But now we're going to say, before we go into why you were so alive, again, you mentioned that you were able to work with your brother George. Talk a little bit about George.
Well, I love my brother so much. He has since passed away, but he was not only my older brother, but one of my best friends, and I miss him every day. But he was wonderful in the role.
And Was this the only movie that you did together?
The only one we did together.
You did. And during the filming, when you had your scenes, was he watching you and were you watching him? Or is it different with a brother as opposed to another actor?
Well, it depended on, whether or not they were on the set that day, because sometimes we'd work on different days. Like if I wasn't in a scene that he was in, I wouldn't have to go into work that day and vice versa. Mm-hmm. But on the days that we were both there, we would watch each other.
You would watch each other. But let me ask you this. I don't want to give away the whole movie, but at the end of the movie, the character George plays, he dies. And they have a scene with him lying there dead. And I'm wondering, since you did all your movies and you died in just about all the movies, did you give George any pointers as to how to die, like sit still and don't breathe? Or...
No, actually, I always looked up to my brother, and he was a wonderful actor, so he didn't really need any pointers. And as far as direction, that's Jack Hill did all the direct.
So you didn't help him with the death scenes?
They really need to.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about one more person. There was somebody in there who played George's wife, who was an unknown then. Her name was Ellen McCrae. Right. And she ended up
Ellen Burstyn.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, she became famous. She was not famous then, because this goes way back, and she was darling. And as you mentioned, she played my brother's wife. And yeah, it was really fun to meet her. But none of us had any idea that not too long after that, she took her married name, which was Burstyn. And now she's famous.
And I mean, after that, she did the Last Picture Show, and she got the Oscar for it. Isn't that? But how was she on the set? Did you know then that she was going to be that great?
Well, I mean, nobody could predict. None of us knew she was going to change her name or win an Oscar. But she was a wonderful actress and a darling woman. So,
well, let's talk about your role in Pit Stop, only because it kind of changed my opinion of you after all these years. And there are a couple of scenes that you did with the co-star. Let me see if I'm saying his name right. Richard Davalos. Good guy?
Wonderful guy. He had done East of Eden with James Dean, so he had somewhat of a following, and he was terrific. And it was really fun working with him.
Well, it must have been, because there's one scene when in the car that you kind of threw yourself on him with a very passionate kiss.
I was supposed to.
And well, you did a very good job of it, and like I said, was it nerve-wracking doing the kissing scene, or was George watching you and saying, hey, that's my sister?
No, he wasn't there that day.
Yeah?
No, it wasn't nerve-wracking. It was fun. And Dick and I had a really nice rapport off-screen. He was a really nice guy, and I loved working with him. He was a wonderful actor.
So there was no problem at all with the car scene at all? Okay, because I've known you for 15 years now, and I don't recall you ever throwing yourself around me and doing stuff like that. But there was something else in the movie that reminded me of Spider Baby, which kind of scared me. Now, in Spider Baby, you had that pitchfork, and you really went to town with that. And yet, in the Pit Stop, you took a hammer to him.
Well, but again, I was supposed to.
Well, hopefully, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he needed his cast taken off for the race, so they had me take a hammer. It was a fake cast, obviously.
But a real hammer, though.
Yeah, it was a real hammer. So, yeah.
Yeah. So what I've learned is not to mess with you with sharp instruments in your hand. I mean,
Dan, okay.
Isn't it something that you can do something from like the car scene where you throw your arms around them, and then you get into this violent mode and you start attacking people?
You're so funny, Dan. Yeah. I didn't attack him. I was just helping him get his cast.
Just help him get the cast away. Okay, so now after this, and again, it's really a cult movie, as I say.
It's become one, yeah. It's a Jack Hill film, and Jack Hill, as any horror fan would know, he's got a huge fan following.
Now, besides you being violent, besides you throwing yourself at poor guy with your arms around him, there's also probably the second most famous shower scene in movie industry after Janet Leigh in Psycho. And that's you in the shower scene there for a couple of seconds.
You're hilarious. Yeah, it was a shower scene. It was fun, but I was dressed.
You were dressed, okay.
I was. We were wearing like a bodysuit, like
Right.
color. So
Do you recall if the water's hot or cold? I mean, how do you, okay, it's only 7 seconds, but do you get tired filming and say, hey, the water's too hot, it's too cold? Or,
no, they're very aware of the actors' comfort and all that. So they're not going to do like boiling hot water or ice cold. So it was,
so there's nothing really scandalous about it, even though it only lasted 7 seconds.
yeah, I guess it could be considered scandal.
Well, it's different. You know, I've known you, again, for 15 years. We never discussed shower scenes or anything like that. Did you feel awkward doing it? Or just, I'm wearing a bodysuit. Doesn't matter.
Part of the script, and it was fun to do.
Okay. And then you end up in one of my best things is that you do a scene with him in which you try to attract him to go to bed with you when he has no interest.
Right? Story of my life.
I don't know about that, but I mean, here's the thing. You nuzzle him on the neck, you play with his ear, and I'm thinking, I don't think you ever did that with me after 15 years either. And is that you find that acting harder to do because you have to be serious about it. You're not really, I mean, tell us about the dress code and what was done then.
I mean, I was wearing clothes.
Okay.
But, you know, it looked like we were naked.
Yeah.
And he had his shirt off, but he didn't want to be filmed from like the waist up. He wanted the blanket up high for some reason, which I don't, you know why? But it was, I had never done a love scene, maybe with Old Yeller.
Yeah, that's what the dog know, but yeah.
No, I had never done a love scene, so it was fun to do.
When you say you've never done a love scene, you were very natural in this. Just it looked like you knew exactly what you were doing, though. That's great acting, I guess.
Yep. Oh my goodness! Am I turning red?
No, but it is just something that I've always found remarkable about your career. How lucky I am that you're not going to smack me after this segment and everything else. But the whole enjoyment of Pit Stop after Spider Baby, was it enjoyable? Was it fun? Was it a laugh riot? Or no, I couldn't wait to get out of this movie.
Oh no, it was always fun. It always was wonderful working with Jack Hill again and Sid, and of course my brother, and then getting to know Ellen Burstyn. I didn't know at the time she's going to be famous, but she was lovely, and it was a fun set. I mean, I can honestly say I feel really fortunate that every show I've ever done has always been fun.
It has.
Yeah.
And again, you mentioned, before we got on the camera here, that there's a reunion with Jack Hill. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's going to be at Monsterama in Atlanta in August, and Jack Hill will be there. And he's in his 90s now.
Yeah.
So he doesn't typically, fly around the country doing these. So, but he lives in Atlanta, and so he agreed to do it. So it should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see him.
Hey, it's something that this was done at late 1969 for Pit Stop, 67 for Spider Baby. 50, 60 years later, there's still a cult following.
It's amazing to me, and I just am so grateful. And the fans, like the horror fans, they're just so devoted. They're like the Trek fans.
Yeah.
They're so devoted, and they love these. And now Pit Stop is kind of picking up in popularity, not quite as much as Spider Baby, but it's a Jack Hill.
Jack Hill.
And Sid Haig, and both of them have huge followings.
One last question. With Sid Haig, I've now seen him in Pit Stop. I've seen him in Spider Baby. He looks very intimidating, to say the least, and his acting is a little bit over the top, but how was he off camera, though?
Just the sweetest guy in the world. He was probably, of all the people that I've ever done autograph shows with, he loved his fans so much, and his fans loved him too. He had a huge following. That was a horrible loss, losing Sid Haig. He was one of my all-time favorites.
All-time favorite. Okay, well, that's going to be it for now. Off camera, we're going to talk about the nuzzling scene again, but I thank you so much for putting up with me.
You did.
And Dan Roberts, Miss Beverly Washburn, for Hollywood Memories, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.
Thank you, everybody.